Welcome to Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Well, not too much going on in Yankee land, but actually just want to make some remarks on, of course, Aroldis Chapman signing with the Kansas City Royals. Of course, we knew he wasn't going to come back with the Yankees. He was kind of floating around out there, and supposedly, the Padres were kicking the tires on him. The Marlins were kicking the tires on him. Possibly even Tampa was kicking the tires on him, but he ends up with the Kansas City Royals. A little surprising there on a one-year deal for $3.75. So, obviously you figured, with his stuff, he was going to end up somewhere. Obviously, the way he kind of deserted the team there, because he was probably not happy. He was probably not going to be included on the postseason roster. So we know the whole story. Didn't show up to the workouts before the division series there. And of course, Cashman and Boone said this basically don't bother showing up anymore. And that was the end of that with him. And whatever, again, I don't think he was going to be on the postseason roster anyway. So didn't end nicely, but kind of just wanted to kind of look back on this episode. And it's kind of maybe just kind of, now that some of the dust has settled and he's gone, kind of just look back on Aroldis Chapman. And if you want to look at his tenure with the Yankees, you got to say mostly it was a positive thing. You got to look at it with some fondness. Now, there were some bad moments there, because a couple of really bad moments in the playoffs. But overall, again, I think he was a pretty good Yankee. So we'll kind of take a look back on the 7 years that Aroldis was here. I guess 6.5 technically. Got traded in 2016, but nevertheless. So this will be the Aroldis Chapman, thank you for the memories episode. So, but before we get started, make sure you sign up for this podcast. So wherever you're listening right now, there's a subscribe button, like button, and you get notified when new content comes up. Again, it's exclusive for people who subscribe to this podcast. So whether, you might see me on YouTube, on some local NYC stations, whatnot. But, if you want to get these little exclusive tidbits and whatnots, you have to be a subscriber to this specific audio-only podcast. But I just got the specific out. Anyway, so Aroldis Chapman, again, no longer Yankee with the Royals now. And for the Royals, I don't know, I guess, you're only paying a little less under $4 million for the guy, and it's only 1 year. So, they're a rebuilding team. It's not like, they got a shot for the playoffs there in the AL Central. This is this situation where, all right, hopefully we'll just have someone competent not to blow games, which, of course, he's going to blow games. I mean, 34 years old. Doesn't have the 103 mile per hour fastball anymore, but still, if you get up there 98, 99, should be effective enough. And again, just probably with him, he's just herky jerky with his motion and whatever. His mechanics, really the past 2 seasons for the Yankees has really got out of whack bad. And again, they were never really able to rectify him there. That was kind of his downfall there. And of course, his attitude on the way out just wasn't that good. And plus we had, the incident with the tattoo, getting a tattoo on his leg mid-season. They end up getting a bacterial infection. They had to put him on the IL for a while. And it's like, dude, you're a pitcher. And, like, what are you doing? Can you wait for the offseason to get your tattoo? So, again, not sometimes not the brightest bulb, a couple of situations there. But nevertheless, he's now with the Royals. But with the Yankees, now, he came aboard, before the 2016 season. And Yankees kind of got him, kind of in a steal of a deal. Now, he had some off the field issues with the girlfriend. I believe Cincinnati traded him to the Dodgers, and the Dodgers had him, but they really didn't want to use him because, again, around this time, there's allegations that he had some domestic dispute with the girlfriend, and supposedly something where, like, he fired a shotgun kind of close to her head, but, like, shot out a garage window or something. It was something of that nature. Nevertheless, I guess Cashman looked it over and said, hey, well, whatever, we feel that he's kind of, made his amends, whatever. If this happened like last year or like in these times, probably like a Trevor Bauer situation, probably maybe he'd be out of baseball, but he just happened to do it at a time when, I guess for that type of sin, I guess there was enough forgiveness. So, Cashman basically got him for like a bag of balls. So, I mean, for the Yankees and Cashman, it was a great deal. The Yankees basically gave up nothing. You get, probably at the time, one of the best closers in the game. So it was a steal of a deal for the Yankees. Came in 2016, of course, no kind of whatever off the field problems he had seemed like put that aside. There's really no problems there. I was pitching, and for the Yankees, kind of exciting. He would come out and they would have like the music and the flames on the Jumbotron when he would come out there. And he was throwing like 103, 104 miles per hour, oohs and ahs. So, he did his time. He was very serviceable there the first year with the Yankees, but unfortunately the team itself, the 2016 team, a little older there, and and obviously didn't get off to a good start there. And of course, that's the year Cashman started to trade away all the veterans like that. Obviously, got rid of people like Beltran they had. And other veterans just kind of unload to some other teams. They'll kind of, look it up to bring up the baby bombers. And of course, one of those players to get shipped out was Aroldis Chapman just because he would have high trade value. So ended up shipping him to the Chicago Cubs. And in coming back in that deal was Gleyber Torres. So, got it for Cashman. At the time, I didn't think that was a great move because I'd rather have someone who's like major league ready, like maybe like a Kyle Schwarber or something like that. But nevertheless, long term, Gleyber turned out to be a good move. And it was actually the top prospect in the Cubs system. So, and then sending Chapman to the Cubs pretty much helped almost seal the World Series deal for them, and he did. even though Chapman did give up a big home run to Roger Davis. I believe it was Game 6 of that series, but the Cubs ultimately did win in 7. So Aroldis Chapman did get his ring there with the Chicago Cubs. But when he did leave the Yankees, he did express interest that, hey, I would like to come back here. So he always kind of wanted to be a Yankee. You can't really fault the guy in that. A lot of fans want to push people out of town and stuff like that. But here's a guy who actually wanted to be a Yankee. So the Yankees did sign him at offseason that year. It was a 5-year deal now. It was a 5-year deal, but he was able to opt out after the 3rd year, I believe. Now, it's something he never did. And so, whoever faults you want to have with Chapman, again, even though he didn't handle his, final couple of months in pinstripes, overall, he always wanted to be a Yankee. He always wanted to stay here. He never opted out. And there's, again, verbally, he always expressed interest in being here, wanted to be here. So, again, it's something you have to at least appreciate if you're a fan. So he did come back with the Yankees in 2017. Of course, that was the surprise. They get by Cleveland, who, again, the Yankees weren't supposed to win that series in the divisional game. And it was Chapman on the mound in Game 5, closing that out. So, look, you want to fault him for some of the postseason woes he had, but he did close out that Game 5 there on the road in Cleveland and upset, again, at the time, Cleveland Indians. Now they're the Guardians. So, that's a feather in the cap for Chapman. You can't really take it away, take that away from him. And then from there, kind of on and off. But overall, you got to say, being in the shadows of the likes of Mariano Rivera, it's not easy. I know David Robinson was a bit of a stopgap there in the middle between Mo and Chapman, but still, you're always in, Mariano's shadow there. And again, overall, if you want to look at his numbers and everything, he did pretty well. So you really can't fault him there. 6.5 seasons as a Yankee, put up a 24-14 record. Good ERA, 2.94. Under 3. You'd like your closer to be a little, closer to 2, but again, he did have a lot of blow-ups as well that probably, inflated that number. But nevertheless, 2.94, not bad. And 153 saves overall, not too shabby. That's about, if you want to do the math there, about 35 per season. Pretty good. Pitched a 294.1 innings, and in that got 453 strikeouts. So you're averaging almost about 2 strikeouts per inning. Again, pretty impressive. And 3 times he represented the Yankees in the All-Star game. So again, that body work, you got to say it's pretty good. So, whatever you want to say with Chapman, again, didn't end well. And of course, he had a few blow-ups on the mound. In terms of the postseason, the only way you can really get him for is, I think there was one in the Tampa one. He gave up that 3-run home run. Again, the name slipped me, unfortunately. There in that Game 5, gave up a big 3-run home run to kind of put the game out of the way. But the Yankees were kind of at the last legs at that point. Again, the bullpen was kind of short. It was Green, Britton, and Chapman, and they had to bring in Britton early, which means they had to bring Chapman early. And again, I just think that Yankee team was just overmatched by Tampa anyway. So yeah, he did give up a big crucial home run late, but I really can't put that on him. I mean, just more that that was more just the Yankee hitters came up with zilch and it was completely shut down by Tampa. Yeah, Chapman was part of the fault there, but I don't put that on him. And then even the year before that, the Altuve home run. That's the game where DJ LeMahieu tied it up at 2-2. But the Yankees had going extra innings there, and the fact that the Yankees were in extra innings in Houston, and that's just that Yankees weren't going to win that game. The only shot they had with winning that game is they needed to take the lead in the 9th inning there. Tying it wasn't good enough. Once they went to extra innings, it was just a matter of time when Houston was going to scratch one across. And, of course, Chapman there, down 3-0 to Altuve. He was going to throw a cookie in there. And then, obviously Altuve launched it. And, of course, we don't know the allegations. Of course, that was the spy gate or whatever. I forgot what gate that was. I guess there was a buzzer gate. Was supposedly Houston was checking out the Yankee catches, what pitch he was going to throw, and basically saw that sliders were coming in, so Altuve laid it off, and they kind of maybe buzzed in the chest when a fastball was coming in. Of course, threw in there the 3-0 cookie fastball, and of course Altuve hit it for a game-winning home run. So yeah, he served the home run, but very good chance there cheating was involved. So can't totally put that on Chapman there, and of course. 2021, Chapman, this was a non-factor. That was the game Yankees went up to Fenway. There was the 1-game wild card, and the Yankees lost 2-0. Again, Chapman wasn't even involved in that game, so you can't blame him there. And, of course, this past postseason, Chapman wasn't even available for his own doing. And I can't see a situation where if Yankees had Chapman, they would be able to beat the Houston Astros. So it doesn't make a difference anyway. So, again, didn't end it great. But if you want to look back at Chapman, hey, overall, regular season-wise, he did have some blows, but overall, in the shadow, Mariano Rivera did a pretty decent job. Did add some excitement, especially the first couple of years where he would come out with the music and, the flames on the Jumbotron and, throwing 100, 200, 3 miles per hour, everyone oohing and ahhing. Usually the bottom of the 9th or top of the 9th at Yankee Stadium, a lot of people start shuffling out to beat the traffic. People would actually stay just to watch him throw triple digits. So, he added some excitement. And again, he did express interest in like being a Yankee. So, even though the NL, you got to appreciate that. So, I would mostly say good things about Chapman. I think his time here was successful overall. I don't want to say anything bad about him. When he comes back to Yankee Stadium, will he get booed a little bit? Probably. It's the way it is. But, I think overall I'd say, Cashman bringing him here, and then signing him, again, the start of the 2017 season. I think those are all good moves. And then he did, for the most part, hold down the closer role for the Yankees. And that's a role that gets very important in New York, especially if you have a closer that's blowing games and blowing too many games. That's just the thing that drives the fans the worst, the craziest, in all sports. So I would say, good things about Chapman. Kudos. And now he'll be on with the Royals. And again, since the Royals aren't going to go to the postseason, it's probably a situation where they're just looking for him to have a good first half, pitch well, up to the trade deadline, and then unload them from some prospects. Because right now they're in a rebuild mode, so they're going to be looking for some good prospects. And so if Chapman can impress, maybe ends up, somewhere. Hey, who knows? Maybe comes back in the Yankee uniform. You never know. So, so that's the episode. It's the Aroldis Chapman episode. Throw him some roses, and but hopefully when we face him, hopefully he blows the game, against us when we face him. So make sure you subscribe to get more content coming up. Again, just a few weeks away from pitches and catches, so we have a lot more to talk about. Section 420, Talkin Yankees, the podcast. Catch you next time.